Well, hello and welcome to All My Art and Soul. I'm Michelle Holden, the artist behind this channel, and I am finally carving out some time for some more Exploring Color series, as I said earlier in my previous videos. So, what you see here is cadmium red deep, yellow ochre, and cerulean blue with black and white. That's it. I was so surprised, pleasantly surprised as to all of the colors I could make. So I don't put them around in a certain way and I'm all fussy as I said before. I like to use how I would paint a painting. And I didn't really overthink anything. I just wanted to start mixing and start exploring. The mauves, the pinks, the earthy oranges, the dark blues, and these beautiful neutral sages, which you don't see yet. But when you mix the cerulean with the ochre, and I just thought, I don't know if this kind of content is of any use to you, but it was to me in how you just put the colors beside each other. You're still using your instincts. That's black that I'm putting just because I wanted to put a big black rectangle there to see what those colors would look over black versus white. So, you have the white of the paper that reflects the light and really shows up your colors. And you can really escape and have so much fun. That one right there, beautiful, ochre and white, and then with a little of the red. And just trying to get those different subtle hues and values of your color. So in a moment, you will see me do an abstract journaling page, which is exploring this palette. And right here, I'm just sort of chatting, and I think I want to do these things live. At least these segments, without doing a voiceover. It's very disconnected, and I like to just talk about things while I'm doing it with this kind of what did you say, painting session, and I think it just would be more useful. So I'm gonna try and do that ahead of time. So I'm going to finish this up, and I think I just let it dry, and then in a moment I'm going to start my page. So as you can see, my glasses, my hair, my nose, and I'm talking to you, but I have eliminated that voice because I wanted to speed this up. So on the other page opposite of all those color squares, I've written a lot of notes, and I'm glad I did because I was so busy with my other work, as I've told you, teaching and all of that, and I can become disconnected as to what my page and what I started and what my intention was. So I wrote a ton of notes down. So you'll hear some pages turning as I finish this up. So I'll just let you watch some beautiful colors. Oh, that one was so gorgeous. And that was a small amount of cerulean with a touch of the red, the Cad Red Deep. And it just made that beautiful blue. And as you can see now, I'm finishing up because there's no more room. Sort of like a sage. I really like it's a light blue sage. And that's what I do. Just in case I forget, and I write 20/30 or 50/50 with white. So you can refer to these. And then you can see, in looking at all the abstract journaling pages in that little section, at least that's how I organize them. And maybe I should just do some short videos explaining, read my notes, and how I'm practicing and developing my work and my process. So I'm putting in the Cad Red, the Cerulean Blue, and the Yellow Ochre, just straight, just to see the effects on black. And then we will get started on the abstract journaling page. Oh, I just added a little white. I wasn't happy with that. So on this abstract journaling page, I just started, I'm going to start with a very atmospheric, mixed, undefined background. And then it becomes more structured as I go. I was rather shocked at what my choices were and my intention, and I just jumped in. So there it is. And there's so many more colors. So again, the page is 9 by 12 and it's an 8 by 10 taped off with the edges. Here are the colors by Liquitex. I really love the mauves because I'm experimenting with darks and oh, it's just incredible. So let's just see what I do first. I choose a brush and of course I have my paints out. And sometimes, when you just don't know what to do first, you do the first thing that comes to your mind. And I just choose to mix things right on the page. So I just wanted to start something new. So I'm taking some Cad Red and I'm just moving it around, really getting used to these bright, rich colors. They're so powerful. It's amazing. And some ochre. And I'm thinking of, in the back of my mind, of course, I'm not really overthinking. I'm just sitting back being a witness as to what's happening here with the texture. And then I just put straight blue in that lower corner. And I know now, probably didn't know as much as I do now because it's hindsight. But I loved what began to happen with the blue and the red and the mauve. You can warm it up. And then I just started changing and adjusting the values around. And I realized it's just, wow, this is just flat. And I've been trying to move away from starting sort of a landscape format at the beginning. And this certainly did because I wanted to stay away from all of that horizon line kind of structure. So then, of course, the brayer, if you want to just take away some of the brush strokes and let things happen, spread that paint around, which also helps it dry, especially before adding the next layer. So I'm just going to turn my page right now and I'm just going to read some of the notes. So the first layer, it was very unclear and I just applied all 3 colors with white. I remembered to start changing values in random areas to begin some kind of shapes. Yes, I'm so glad I wrote these notes. It's a full page of notes. And because I don't want to overthink shape. Shape to me is so, I don't know. If I start with a shape that I want to try, it just never turns out, it's so overly, I don't even know the words, too contrived. And I like shapes to just happen on their own. So that's what I like and that's what I'm experimenting with. So there's beautiful violet and mauve going to happen here and it gets quite dark. But when I add the black, this is the lighter of the values and of the darker values, and it's really cool. So there's a beautiful mauve, and these are all soft edged. They're not really shapes yet, but they're different areas. So things are starting to happen. And of course, I left, you don't see my stencil paper. I should have started with showing you what my choices were, but I'll remember to do that next time. So this is a tracing paper with pinky orangey acrylic on it, dabbed with a brush. And I have been dying to get this on some work. And I love how transparent the paper is. So, and this paper is a lot stiffer, and especially if you want to use it on large canvases, which I definitely am going to use this, so I need to get some more supply. And I need to make specific collage for specific paintings with specific palettes. I know that was a lot of specific, but hey, that's how I roll. This is what we're doing. And finally it's dry and I'm going, whoa, what did I just do? So let's see. Sort of the middle area. I go middle right or middle left. Now that's straight yellow ochre, but I like how it's rather thin. I could have added some medium fluid to that, but then as you can see, I'm lightening up that top, but I'm only going in certain areas because I want it overlap. And when you overlap, that's when some really interesting shapes can just happen on their own. Loving the ochre with the mauve, and then now I'm scumbling with the brush, and I'll probably do some scouring with it. And now, being away from the work, I can see the quadrants. Can you see those quadrants? You have an upper reddish with a little purple, the right large ochre quadrant, lower mauve, and then the darker purple in the bottom. So this really helps compositionally. So I'm having fun with now a blue. I'm not really discovering or paying attention to those quadrants right now. It doesn't matter because it's so early on in the layers. So it's too blue to me, but let's see what happens. Okay. So it's just a dark, rather organic, somewhat rectangular shape. So then I put some at the top just to help that, putting some darks around. So you would say there's mostly medium value there, and now there's some darks. So we will need light. And for this one, I use collage for the light. The collage pieces that I like to choose are, of course, neutrals with similar colors in them, maybe some reds, some pinks, and I like to contrast with some of those in subtle ways. So, oh yeah, it makes the most amazing pink, and that was a good place to put it. So now structure's starting to come on in. And notice the areas that I'm putting red in are more close to the previous layers underneath, except for that red up top. I think I add a little more ochre. So I'm adding a little more ochre the further I go into that ochre area, just so the values are, the contrast is less and it's more subtle. Okay, making some violet up there. And I know since I use a glass palette, it can be very reflective when you're trying to see color mixing. That's sort of tricky. But I think my lighting is pretty good. Let me know. I do have some studio lights and I'm going to be setting up this weekend. Well, no, I can't. I have to wait until the reno is finished. But March break, I'll be reorganizing the studio, putting a large canvas area with studio lights. So we're going to be changing it up. I can't wait. Oh, yeah. So if you're not really sure, you either have a light on a dark or a dark on a light, scratch through it, and you can even use a palette knife. You can even scrape some away if you don't like it, and then just leave it, because that'll be a beautiful texture for maybe some other paint that you put on top that you will like. So, oh yeah, I call it the pink dabbled collage, and that's there ready to go. I just needed a little more darks and lights, and I'm starting to enjoy. Well, I always enjoyed it. That's probably not the right word. I'm starting to become more comfortable with knowing how to put the colors around the substrate. And then I'm going in with these marks. I'm not sure if I like them, but I just needed to do something different. So another difference. Yes, much better that I change the value of them. So I like dark on light, light on dark. If they're going across in a slightly downward motion, or, you're creating movement that way. What else? Oh, yes. So next, I'm just telling you what's next because I have notes. And of course, I have the work right here. I finally got to use the most interesting piece of collage made with the same paper. It's the tracing paper. I like it because it's transparent. It really holds up to a lot of rubbing of the medium across it. And you can really get the bubbles out without worrying about tearing it, unlike the deli wrap, which is so delicate. At least this brand. I know that some of you, and thank you, there it is. There's that piece. I went and finally found them. I forget what it was. I think it's a special drawing tracing paper that I just thought, oh, well, let's try this. And oh man, I have to go and find some more. So as you can see, I've got some big, broad brushstrokes on there. I do use that in the end. And wow, I am so pleased I waited. So bringing in, with a nice fresh sponge, just some shapes, but another layer in a stronger hue. And things just start, now that's okay, but I like how it pushed the other layers back. I think adding a little more white or the neutral to it would have looked better, but that's okay. We can do that next. That can be the next layer. So now, as you can see, I have some of my horizontal stuff showing, but I'm glad it's not all that way. Now I'm deciding on the direction of this collage piece. What did I end up doing? Because that got covered up a lot. And that's okay, because it was a wonderful sacrifice. Veiling. I don't know if I like to use that word, sacrifice, but see, as you can see, these colors work. And right there, since it was closer to red, that's where it needed to be. So for now, that is a wonderful location. And I like how I cut it not straight, it's cut in different angles. And it has a torn end rather than a crisp end. You see, you can really see those layers underneath. It sort of melts right in. I love it. Okay. Making sure I have enough, because that doesn't really soak through and I don't want to smudge the probably slightly still wet yellow ochre. Okay, so then using a small piece down in the corner, in there somewhere, yes. So see, it's such an extreme difference in size. They're diagonally across from each other, so it really works. It brings that eye around along with that yellow painted shape up in the upper right. Okay. So I hope everyone, all of you, are enjoying this content, and onward ho with color exploration. In the end, I'm really thinking the darker, richer tones are closer to this feeling that I'm looking for in this series. But if you caught not the last, this Thursday's, today's affirmation page, the one before, you won't, that was with the same colors. This is exciting to me. I don't know if it's exciting to you, but it in all lighter values. It's almost like a completely different color palette. I was just so amazed at how three different colors, along with white and black, can make such different paintings. I just love it. All right, so I don't know, I needed a vertical large shape there. And then I find